In March 2013, the Auditor General released his update report on the audit of the Legislative Assembly's financial records. To access the full report and other supporting documents, visit our website at www.bcauditor.com. This video provides a summary of the report. As the nonpartisan independent auditor of the Legislative Assembly, the Auditor General audits the government reporting entity. This consists of ministries, crown corporations, and other government organizations such as universities, colleges, school districts, health authorities, and other similar organizations that are controlled by or accountable to the provincial government. The Office of the Auditor General serves the people of British Columbia and their elected representatives by conducting independent audits and advising on how well government is managing its responsibilities and resources. Under the Auditor General Act, the Auditor General conducts and reports on both financial audits and performance or value for money audits. The Act also allows the Auditor General to follow up on any recommendations made in reports. The Office of the Auditor General's July 2012 report discussed the significant deficiencies that the audit found in the management and oversight of the Legislative Assembly's financial records for the fiscal years ended March 31, 2009, 2010, and 2011. This report is an update on progress made by the Legislative Assembly senior management and the Legislative Assembly Management Committee, or LAMC, since the 2012 report. LAMC has accepted the recommendations contained in that report and has committed to working towards fully implementing them. Overall, there have been encouraging improvements made in LAMC's oversight. For example, they began holding regular meetings and have been in active discussions with management to define their roles and responsibilities. We expect to see continued improvement as well. To assist in this continued improvement, we have identified two priority areas which require LAMC's immediate and sustained attention. First and foremost, LAMC should commit to publishing audited financial statements. This is a fundamental part of good and accountable financial management. This commitment should be made publicly and identify the specific fiscal year for which those statements will be prepared. They should also consider presenting other performance information and explanations in an annual report that complies with the BC reporting principles, which are the accepted standard across all BC government organizations. Secondly, LAMC should fully perform its governance and oversight function to ensure that the Legislative Assembly's resources are properly used, operations are well managed and in compliance with legislation, and public and stakeholder expectations for the stewardship of public monies are met. Their regular meetings and active discussions with management are necessary steps towards this. The creation of an audit working group and an audit and finance committee will also contribute. The next LAMC and the ones from subsequent parliaments will need to continue towards and eventually work to sustain a high level of effective governance and oversight. The two appendices to the report are illustrations of the types of situations that can arise without rigorous governance. Appendix A contains an analysis of new information recently received regarding an issue that had originally been identified in the Office's audits of the Legislative Assembly's fiscal years from 2009 to 2011. During fiscal 2009-10, the Legislative Assembly paid an MLA's landlords $67,000 to reimburse for leasehold improvements to the member's constituency office. This matter was raised in our fiscal 2010 management letter report. The report noted that the member had forwarded the landlord's original request for payment of $78,000 and that the prepayment of leasehold improvement costs was in violation of the Legislative Assembly's policies per the member's guide to constituency operations. The report also identified concerns around the arm's length nature of the office agreement, as a member of the MLA staff was married to one of the landlords of this building. In December 2012, the Office of the Auditor General was provided with invoices supporting the amount paid to the landlords. Our review of these invoices has raised new concerns. In particular, a subgroup of these expenditures, totaling just over $50,000, seemed beyond the scope of regular leasehold improvement. Many of them appeared to go well beyond items agreed to by the MLA in the commercial lease agreement, falling instead within the specific responsibilities of the landlord. Overall, the payment of these building improvements, while a significant use of public monies, is also a symptom of a larger issue. It is one example of what can happen when management is not complying with existing policies, nor bringing policy exceptions to the oversight body's attention. Recently, LAMC has described a number of efforts to improve controls in these areas, such as updating the members' handbook and subjecting lease costs and leasehold improvements to an internal audit program. Appendix B contains a discussion of a number of unusual payments identified during the Office's ongoing audit work in the Legislative Assembly's 2012 financial records. For example, in the first few weeks of 2012, 4 current and former members of the senior management at the Legislative Assembly were paid a total of $660,000. This payout occurred under a program created in 1984 to bring senior management at the Legislative Assembly in line with the retirement allowance and executive benefit available for employees under the Public Service Act. A few years after its creation, however, executive benefits arrangements changed. The only previous payout under this program was in 1987, with a memo noting that participation in the program had been capped in recognition that the disparity for which they were being compensated no longer existed. Furthermore, none of the 2012 payments were publicly disclosed as required under the Financial Information Act. The issue of incomplete disclosures was first brought to management's attention in 2010 regarding approximately $2 million in transitional assistance paid to MLAs. Its importance was reaffirmed in the Office's summary report first provided to management in January 2012. The audit procedures also identified long-standing agreements with 2 senior executives that raised questions about the tax treatment of their payments. For example, there was no payroll tax withheld from these payments, which suggests that the recipients are contractors. However, no GST, PST, or HST was collected on this amount, as would be the case for payments to contractors. The individuals in question were also receiving regular employee benefits and were registered with the government's employee pension plan. One final issue raised in this appendix is that of the clerk consultant contract. To date, we have not been able to obtain a copy of a formal contract documenting the terms and conditions around this arrangement, such as timelines and deliverables. As well, payments under this 2-year agreement also include a number of benefits typically only provided to employees, such as MSP coverage and travel costs. As stated in the July 2012 report, the Office of the Auditor General's involvement with the Legislative Assembly's financial records will continue until all significant issues identified during our audits have been satisfactorily resolved. At that point, we will reevaluate the need for continued direct involvement. The Office also has a multi-year plan to examine constituency offices and have successfully tested the audit procedures in a small number of constituency offices. Regarding Appendix B, the Office will follow up on these items and complete the audit of fiscal year 2012, reporting on the results to the next Parliament and their LAMC. The form of this report will either be a management letter for internal purposes only or a public report which will be determined after completion of the audit procedures. That concludes our summary of this report. To read this report and our other publications or for more information about our office, please visit our website at www.bcauditor.com. The Office of the Auditor General encourages your feedback on this report as well as your suggestions for further audits. We look forward to hearing from you.